afternoon. It is Gajeevan from Nishkam High School on the BBC. Yesterday, unfortunately, on Tuesday the 8th of March, George Martin, a legendary producer, passed away in his home. What are your thoughts on this revolutionary producer?
Your thoughts on this producer and his music?
George Martin is famous for his association with the Beatles. I'm sure that he worked with many other artists through the years, but it's his association with the Fab Four that he's most renowned for. Growing up as a child in the 70s and 80s, I was heavily influenced by the work of the Beatles, and although I'm not an expert on popular music, to my ear, the blend of lyrics that they used and the way that the music was produced was significantly different to much of the work that was done in the 1960s.
What are your thoughts of his music?
Well, you've got to say that the Beatles were probably one of the greatest UK bands ever, and George Martin was responsible for producing some of the most amazing songs ever. It's very sad, very tragic news of his passing, but what he does leave is a legacy of fantastic songs that have influenced so many composers, bands, musicians around the world. So we have to remember him with a kind of a fondness and be very proud that we've got this amazing sound from the UK.
Thank you for your opinion, Misty. What are your thoughts on this producer's absence?
I think it's very sad that he's died. He had a huge impact on music in the last 50 years or so. He's produced and helped create music for the Beatles, obviously, and that music's had a huge impact on culture in today's world. So it's a really sad event that he's died, and I'm really sorry to see him go.
Thank you for your opinion, Miss. You're very welcome. What is your thoughts on this producer?
The producer of Beatles, it's a shame that he died because he was a really good producer, and without George Martin, the Beatles would actually be famous of today.
Thank you for your opinion. Yesterday, a famous producer called George Martin passed away at the age of 90 in his room. What are your thoughts on this producer?
I'm really sad that he died, and he was a really good producer and produced one of the amazing music.
Thank you for your opinion.
Are you a fan of the Beatles?
Massive fan of the Beatles.
Why?
Fell in love with the Beatles whenever I was younger, whenever I was discovering music. I just thought they were different, even to what music's produced nowadays. They sound quite fresh, even though they're from the 60s.
Well, as a fan of the Beatles, what are your thoughts on the revolutionary producer George Martin?
I'm very sad to hear about the passing of George Martin. He was a fantastic innovator. I think what was brilliant about him was he brought his classical training together with the Beatles' sort of primitive music, and it was a marriage made in heaven. Some of the music they made together will stand the test of time in the same way that some of the classical musicians like Mozart and Beethoven have lasted to today.
Well, thank you for your opinion, Mr. Lapti. Thank you for watching our BBC School News report by Kawadeep and Gurjeevan.